Hi, welcome to the Fit and Healthy Today show, and today's subject is asthma. It's a serious respiratory disease that leaves its victims breathless, and it's not because a good-looking guy or a good-looking girl is walking by. You just can't breathe. There's a lot of symptoms that are associated with asthma other than just being breathless, unable to get in that oxygen and breath, including difficulty breathing. You can get a wheezing sound, so when you take a deep breath, you can hear kind of a wheezing. Continual coughing, like you're trying to get your breath. Tightness in the chest. Increased mucus flow. You're trying to cough up more gunk and stuff. And because you don't have as much oxygen and you're trying to breathe and you're coughing, you get oftentimes a loss of sleep or an increased rate or heart rate. You get a constriction of the bronchial muscles is what occurs with asthma. And when the bronchial muscles constrict, the airflow and the air can't get in, it tightens, it spasms, and you cannot breathe. It often caused by a buildup of mucus or an inflammatory issue of the mucus linings. There can be various triggers associated with asthma, and there are various, and sometimes there are multiple reasons, or sometimes there's just one cause. Oftentimes we get athletes who never are asthmatic any other time other than when they're performing their athletic events, and they'll wheeze and they'll cough and they'll have a hard time breathing. The root causes that we find that are most common: allergies, be them food or environmental causes, pollution and irritants, the things that we inhale, chlorine, gas fumes, whatever it be, pesticides, chemicals, irritate the lungs and cause the mucus linings or the bronchial tubes to constrict. Respiratory infections, cold and flu. I have a lot of people who may not have asthma other than when they get a cold, flu, virus, or infection in their upper respiratory system. Cold air causes the constriction of the bronchial muscles. Physical exertion, we talked about with exercise. Hormone imbalances, believe it or not, can cause an issue because the more stressed out you are, or having emotional distress, which we've had a whole nother lecture on, can cause muscle tissues and vasoconstriction, which in turn causes the bronchial muscles, the bronchial lining, the mucus to increase and constrict out. Diet is very, very important when you're talking about asthma and examining, particularly in childhood asthma, getting to the bottom of food allergies, either through blood work for food allergies or through the little skin prick test for environmental allergies. Or if you know mom's allergic to that, chances are a child is going to be allergic to that. Kind of ruling out or eliminating foods that can be triggers is very, very important. Most people that have asthma, if they stick to a simple, light diet that's based on whole grain foods, raw vegetables and fruits, seeds, fish, greens, a good old diet, that's not full of processed foods and chemicals is the best road for an asthmatic to take. Carotenoids, rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatories, so including vegetables that include dark green leafy vegetables, broccoli, leafy greens, kale, deep yellow, your squashes, orange vegetables, squashes and carrots. Those types of vegetables are not only alkali producing, which enable the body to utilize oxygen better, but they help oxygenate and reduce inflammation. There's one study that was conducted, just one simple study of a group of individuals. I think there were 100 and some people in the study. And they found that even eating fish once a week, and hopefully uncontaminated sources, reduced the risk of an asthmatic attack by 1/3. So we're going to talk more about fish supplements and other supplements that can address or reduce or get rid of asthmatic reactions and responses, provided you can get rid of some of the triggers and the root causes. Garlic and onions. One of my customers, she's from the Appalachians, and her mom used to make this onion syrup whenever they got colds or were asthmatic. It has something in it called quercetin, which is very anti-inflammatory, helps allergic reactions and respiratory health. Water every 2 hours. If you don't have adequate amounts of liquid, water, particularly water, juices as well, but things that aren't caffeine sources. Because remember, caffeine sources make you lose water. But water helps make that mucus in the lungs, and this goes for whether you have a cold or the flu or asthma. It loosens it up, so it's easier for the body to get out, for the little cilia to move all that gunk out of your lungs and your upper respiratory. Ground flax seeds, as far as diet is concerned. Anything that's rich in omega-3s. We talked about the fish study. Well, flax seeds or flaxseed oil are another source or alternative source of getting those omega-3 fats, which are very anti-inflammatory, and we'll talk about it further when we talk about the supplements. Foods to avoid. Naturally, we're going to avoid foods that trigger an allergic reaction. Sugar, junk food, fried, refined foods. These all make the blood very, very acidic. When you're acidic, it robs the body of oxygen. Oh, guess what? You're trying to breathe. You can't get the oxygen. Good luck. Dairy, food with preservatives, particularly these preservatives seem to have the most triggers in asthmatics. Yellow dye number 5, red dye, particularly red dye number 40, sulfites, lunch meats full of the sodium nitrates. Oh man, rob the body of oxygen. Benzonates, and then of course MSG, which is a flavor enhancer that's in just about any processed food that you buy, unless it says on the outside no MSG or no anaerolized yeast. Frozen or cold foods. So if you can eat a lot of cold foods or ice cream, makes the body cold. Remember how I talked about when you get cold, you get bronchoconstriction? Well, when you eat cold foods, you also get bronchoconstriction. So avoiding colder foods and eating foods that are more warm or heated. NSAIDs, and those are anti-inflammatory drugs, including naproxen, aspirin, ibuprofen. 2/3 of drug-related asthma is caused by these NSAIDs. Of all the thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of drugs out there, the NSAIDs are 2/3 responsible for drug-related asthma induced, with aspirin accounting for 1/2. So, the aspirin a day to thin the blood that the doc recommends could be triggering your asthma. So if you're an asthmatic, that's something that you need to evaluate and discuss with your doctor. Supplements. I've came across so many studies and so many different supplements that are helpful for asthma, but I'm going to list the ones that I found most common and that I know that my customers come in and I've seen the best results at our stores that we have. Essential fatty acids. You know how we talked about the flaxseed and the fish oils and the reduction of asthmatic response? A tablespoon of flax, or 4 to 8,000 milligrams or 4 to 8 grams of fish oil, it's very anti-inflammatory. Now, when we're talking about anti-inflammatory, we're talking about it produces anti-inflammatory prostaglandins. And these, if it's anti-inflammatory in your asthma, it's going to be anti-inflammatory in your joints, other places, on the vascular system. So this is one more place where fish oils, flax oil, and omega-3s come into play to reduce inflammation, because the key is we want to, with asthma, reduce inflammation. A good multiple of high in B vitamins help you deal with both physiological and emotional stress that oftentimes trigger asthma. Particularly, I see that a lot with children. They'll get that, they get all excited and the bronchial constriction. The B vitamins help you deal physiologically with those physical and emotional stresses. Magnesium relaxes bronchial tubes and literally